Hello everyone, Jamarcus here, and I am back again with another draft analysis. This one is for the Master Ball division for Showdown of the SPDA, which is the division we nearly won last season but came up a little short in finals. So I'm hoping to come back and win the whole thing this time around, and I think with the team I drafted, we'll certainly be able to do that. There's a bit of changes this season. There's some better Terra captains, and like with mid-tier Terra, and we have 5 more points, alongside some unbans of Blaziken with speed boost, Urshifu single strike, and Palaven. So I had third pick, and I picked up Spectrier. This thing's pretty self-explanatory, to be honest. Just spams ghost moves, Draining Kiss for coverage, Wisp, Hex, Disable, Taunt, some other good moves, but for the most part, yeah. Just clicking ghost moves, very spammable off that special attack and with that ability and incredible speed as well. I pick up Lando next. Just a very versatile Pokemon, fills a lot of roles. Great defensive typing, great offensive typing, good coverage, can set up rock, it's a pivot. It's not Nat Deck, so no knockoff or defog or toxic, but I think there's still a lot of valuable things this guy can bring to my team. Next, I draft Iron Crown, who I think will help a lot alongside Spectrier to beat dark types, because Spectrier struggles quite a bit with dark types. So does Iron Crown. And the idea there is that Spectrier can break them down, taunt them so they can't heal themselves like Amandabuzz, and then Iron Crown can now kill them since they've been weakened by Spectrier. But I don't want to lose to dark types, so I would draft Keldeo. So if I'm facing like a King Gambit or something, or a Greninja, Keldeo will help quite a bit there. Good speed. My team's very fast so far. Priority. Good special breaker, good bulk, good defensive typing. I think Keldeo will be fantastic. I've used it before and I know how good it is. Next up, I draft my first Terra Captain in Iron Leaves. Another fast Pokemon, good bulk after Terra, get rid of that bad defensive typing, and huge attack. I think booster speed with SD's the obvious set, the one that I'll be bringing most of the time, but I think it'll be really good. Next up, I got. Who did I get? I got Dragalge to the unfortune of Maki. She's doing a Mono Dragon team, and this was her only option at a grounded poison, so I'm sorry, but for how good it fits on my team, I really needed it as well. Dragon Tail, spam a dragon move, Sludge Bomb for the fairies, really great defensive typing and good abilities on offense, but also defense for Poison Point, and Poison Touch even for click and flip turn. You can totally run physical. Gunk Shot hits pretty hard still. Good mon. Next up, I draft Glastrier, who I think will actually be really good. It's not Terra Glastrier, it's just regular old Glastrier, but I think with that defense and Iron Defense Body Press, it'll be hitting really hard, as long with that huge attack stat, almost hitting Groudon levels of attack. Um, yeah, to think this guy's in what, ZU, and he's got 145 attack, I don't know how that's possible. Icicle Crash, Earthquake or High Horsepower rather, is perfect coverage. Close Combat is also there, and Heavy Slam for hitting fairies. This thing is fantastic. It has Trailblaze, but it's a little slow for that, but I can make it work. We'll see. Next up, I draft something I'm regretting drafting, admittedly. Sorry, no, that's the Pokemon after this. This is Mudsdale. Mudsdale's good. Helps Lando free up its role of being a stealth rocker and a bulky Pokemon, so I can bring like Nasty Plot or Swords Dance more often. Mudsdale just getting up rocks, clicking roar, that sort of thing. He's doing Mudsdale things. On to the Pokemon I regret. Kingdra, not King Gambit. This thing stinks, but I felt it was needed on my team just due to the nature of it. Next up, I pick Farigiraf. This is my secondary Terra Captain. I think with Terra Fairy, it becomes a very good defensive Pokemon with Wish Protect. It hits pretty hard off that base 110 attack. Huge HP stat, helps me heal the rest of my team, seeing as I don't have a lot of reliable recovery on it. No synthesis on Iron Leaves, for example. Certainly won't be passing any wishes to Kingdra. Um, Good abilities, priority immunities, and grass immunity. Kachu's a little funny as well. A lot of good sets I can run on this guy. On to the star of the show, though, my last Pokemon. It's a Pokemon I think is critically underrated in Zebstrika. Immunity abilities are always fantastic. I don't have Terra on this guy, but I don't think it needs it. It already has such good coverage. Um, just to point out a few, it has high horsepower, which is a move a lot of Pokemon on this team get, but also Overheat helps a lot into those grass types that take these electric moves. Low Kick is really nice for a couple interactions. If I'm facing something like a Roaring Moon or a Gudra Hisui, those are Pokemon that kind of wall me otherwise, but Low Kick will actually be hitting really hard, especially off of that base 100 attack. Huge speed stat as well, outspeeding most Pokemon in the league, especially if I am using Agility. Has a baton pass for pivoting as well. So if I'm facing an electric immunity, for example, and I can't click Volt Switch, I still have baton pass to pivot around, which is really nice. I have body slam, so if I'm facing a ground type that I still want to paralyze, so I can't click Thunder Wave, it's also quite helpful. Discharge is there though for those non-ground types that I still want to paralyze. Double Hedge, very strong coverage, neutral coverage, especially when the only things that are switching into that are really rock and steel types, and I have low kick for that. Endeavor, I think, is actually a really good move on this. With some other moves we'll see later on, but something like Sub, I can bring myself to low HP, and then Endeavor to bring my opponents to low HP, which will put them in range of Vacuum Wave from Keldeo, for example. Facade's also really nice. I can't be paralyzed, obviously, because of my electric typing, which is just so strong, but it's still going to be quite helpful if I do end up getting poisoned or burned. Just having a strong move, even stronger than Double Edge, actually. And again, with that base 100 attack, it's going to be quite strong. Flame Charge boosts my speed, helps against grass types, really good. Um, it's going to be helpful coverage, and also just lets me outspeed pretty much every Scarfer, even just after one Flame Charge, and 100% chance. There's no risking luck here. High horsepower, fantastic coverage. Um, helps a lot against other electric types. I think it's going to be really fantastic. 5% accuracy or 5% chance to miss. I'm not too worried about that. Actually does get light screen as well, which is going to help. Um, I'd say it's even though its SPDF is low, I think that base 75 HP is actually going to help me take some hits pretty well. So I don't really need light screen that much due to the nature of how bulky this thing is, but light screen will certainly be helpful as well. Next up, low kick. I know I've been talking about this a lot, but fighting is one of the best offensive types in the game. It hits 5 things super effectively, so that's over a quarter of types. So just having that coverage, which is often very strong, base 120 power is going to be fantastic. Overheat's there as well. Really good on a mixed set, so I can lower my special attack, which is so high already, so I'm not too worried about it. But I can overheat, and then something like Supercell Slam or Facade will still be hitting hard off my physical attack. Protect's there as well, really helpful for stalling out some teams. If I'm facing something like a Rain team, which I know does exist in this league, or Sun team, Protect can help me stall out those turns. Something pretty unique to Zebstrika that it can do. Quick Attack, fantastic move, gives me some priority. This thing's already faster than pretty much everything, but if I'm facing other priority Pokemon like a Jet Punch Palafin, and I happen to have lost my Arbor Tail for a Giraffe, I still have Quick Attack to prioritize that, which will be fantastic. Next up, Rest. Keeping me healthy is going to be fantastic. It's going to be quite hard for my opponents to kill Zebstrika if I just keep clicking Rest. It'll be hard to kill. Next up, Roar. Roar is really nice. It helps um, shuffle things around, especially after I get hazards up with Mudsdale, to get some extra chip. Although I don't know that Zebstrika really needs chip because it's pretty capable of OHKOing pretty much everything in the format anyways. Sleep Talk, really nice pairing with Rest. Helps me not be a sitting duck or a sitting horse, as I should say, in front of Pokemon when I'm asleep. So I can Sleep Talk and still be attacking things while I'm asleep, which is something uh, it's actually unique to Zebstrika that it can do. Nothing else gets that pairing of moves. Same thing with Substitute, a really small distribution on this move, so which will be really helpful alongside Endeavor, just helping chip things down really nicely. Supercell Slam's there as well, a new addition to Zebstrika's moveset. Off that base 100 attack and stab, it'll be doing plenty of damage, and I'm not scared of ground type switching again, as you'll see for a later on move. Taunt's there as well, very nice. I think the biggest weakness of my team is that I don't have any hazard removal, but I'm not worried about that because I have such a fast taunt user that my opponents won't be able to get up hazards anyways. Terra Blast is there as well, gives me a special normal attack. If I'm going for a specs approach, I still do have the normal coverage, which could be nice. Not using it this as a Terra Captain because I don't think it's necessary, but still having that as neutral coverage is going to be pretty nice. Next up is Thunder. Again, there's a rain team, so I think in the chance I face that team, Thunder would be a really nice option. It would hit very hard, cleanly OHKOing my opponent's Pelipper. And the next up, Thunderbolt. Um, just a good spammable move. That 10% chance to paralyze is also really nice. Thunder Wave's there too. If I want that guaranteed paralysis, not too worried about the accuracy. Just being able to paralyze things so that it helps me outspeed things with the rest of my team, because of course Zepstrika is just outspeeding everything anyways. Next up, Trailblaze. If I'm going against something like a Heatran and I can't click Flame Charge to boost my speed, or I've been taunted by like a prankster taunt, because that's the only taunt that would actually go before me, and I can't agility, I can still click the Trailblaze and boost my speed, which will be really nice. Next up is Volt Switch. Really nice move. Will help me pivot around. Um, just always going first and being able to pivot out and switch into something else so that I can bring my Zepstrika back in later, because I would want to bring this thing back in later so it can stay in for as many turns as possible and just do the most amount of work possible. Next up, Bulldoze, some more ground coverage. If I'm going against something that is using Dig to try and hit me super effectively, I can use Bulldoze and get double damage on it. And also dropping things speed so that the rest of my team can outspeed them. Bulldoze is a fantastic move. Definitely some use case over high horsepower there. Charge is also really nice, boosting my SPDF. So again, with Light Screen, I don't think it's that necessary because of my natural bulk. I don't actually need that SPDF boost, but boosting my electric moves will be quite strong. Charge Beam is there too if I want to go for a setup approach, like a bulky setup approach, and just Charge Beam, keep boosting my special attack. I'll be able to OHKO everything, and I'm still faster than everything anyways. So I think that'll be a really interesting set to bring, although I don't actually think I need the special attack boost all that much, just because of how strong this thing just hits with its raw power. Double kick's there as well, gives me some more fighting coverage in case low kick is a very weak move into a certain target. I still have a good fighting move to click. Also really helpful into sash leads, like breaking multi-scales and that sort of thing. Next up, Eerie Impulse. This is really nice on another setup set. I can be really bulky, and if something's trying to calm mine in front of me, I can just continuously lower its special attack, so that it's not really making any progress. And in that case, I would just be a physical attacker, so I can still do a lot of damage to them. Next up, Electric Terrain. This is really helpful. It counteracts my strategy with Rest Talk a little bit, because I won't be able to click Rest. But one workaround of that is I can actually just be Air Balloon, and then I can click Rest, and then when they pop my air balloon, I'll wake up. So it's actually a really interesting mechanic that a lot of people don't think about. But yeah, just Zepstrika really will be able to utilize that tech quite well. Next up, probably the best move this guy has, Electro Ball. It's, as you can read here, more power the faster the user is than the target. And of course, just due to how fast Zepstrika is, that Electro Ball will be hitting incredibly hard. I think it'll be a fantastic move. Next up is Electro Web. This is a move you see in VGC quite a bit, but I think it actually has quite a good use case here, just helping slow down the rest of my team, or slow down the rest of my opponent's team for my team that tends to be a little bit slower. The reason this is a bit better than Bulldoze in some cases is just because some Pokemon can't be hit by Bulldoze because they're a flying type or have Levitate or Earth Eater or Air Balloon. So in that case, Electro Web would be a bit better, and it also is Stab, so it hits a bit harder. Next up, Endure. Really nice item. I can click Endure to live at 1 HP, which would help me use a Custap Berry, for example, or get some extra Rocky Helmet chip, or even click Endeavor to bring my opponent down to 1 HP. Next up is Feint. So if I'm facing something like a Gliscor who keeps clicking Protect in front of me, that's fine. I can go right through their Protect. Next up, Giga Impact, really strong move. If I want to finish off the game with a bang, just need a big hit, I can always click Giga Impact just to get that. I think it'll be really helpful. Next up, I have Helping Hand. This move might seem useless, seeing as we are in a singles league. I should have mentioned that at the start. This is singles. But there's actually a really nice use case of Helping Hand where it's more of a it's like a morale move. If I click Helping Hand in front of my opponent, they'll think they have it'll give them a false sense of hope really in thinking that they have a chance and that they are playing both an opponent and a Pokemon who are incapable, and neither of those are the case, especially the case of Zebstrika. This Pokemon is very potent, and real Pokemoners know the skill level that it takes to reign a Zebstrika, and I know that I have that possibility. Next up is Hyper Beam. Similar to Giga Impact, if I'm going for a more special approach, this will just be a really nice way to cap off the game and get my sixth kill with Zebstrika. Next we have Rain Dance, really helpful, good alongside Thunder, giving me perfect accuracy on that. Um, just going to be a fantastic one. It also weakens those fire types that want to switch into my Overheats and Trailblazes. Next up, Sand Attack. Again, another move that might seem useless seeing as it is banned according to our rule set, but the one use case for this move actually is that sometimes the competition will just be too 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 far apart. I'll just be winning by too much. So sometimes I'll need to be able to just give my opponent the forfeit win. So in that use case, Sand Attack will actually do that for me. So pretty helpful there, just to help give my other opponents a chance. Next up, we have Screech, similar to Eerie Impulse as we were talking about earlier. But for Screech, it'll just be for my physical set. So I can click Screech, lower their defense, and then my Trailblaze and Flame Charge and Supercell Slam will be doing a lot of damage. Next up is Shockwave. Seeing as they banned Sand Attack for some reason, having a perfectly accurate Shockwave and a move I can know will never miss instead of having to click like Sand Attack and then Thunder, having a move that never will never miss is just going to be really helpful. Next up, Smart Strike. It's actually the only steel coverage this Pokemon gets, so it'll be really helpful when I'm facing a Fairy type or a Rock type, or even an Ice type that I don't want to click Overheat on. Smart Strike will be nice coverage. Also has that perfect accuracy, which will be quite helpful. Next up, we have Spark. Just physical coverage on Zebstrika here. If I don't want to click Supercell Slam, I always have Spark just for a good stab move that will paralyze 30% of the time, as you can see here. You might be worried about this low base power of this move. That's what a lot of people are drawn away from when they look at Spark. But the reason it works on Zebstrika so well is just due to how strong it already hits. I'm not too worried about the low base power. Next up we have Stomp. Probably my favorite move on this Pokemon. It just fits the Pokemon really well. I can remember when I was a little boy watching the black and white anime and just seeing Zebstrika stomp on everybody. It was really cool. All right, a little bit of a change in dimensions here, just so you can see the last of the moves here, because you don't want to miss out on any of these moves. These are all really helpful moves that you have to consider. So unfortunately, I won't actually be able to fit all of them because there's too many moves. There's too many combinations of moves that I can't fit every single one of them. But I'm hoping that I can bring this guy back for an all-star season so I can use up the rest of them. So next up is Sunny Day. Really helpful move here. Powers up my overheats and flame charges. So it pretty much gives me stab on those moves. So those grass types that want to switch in to my electric moves will not be able to do so very safely. Also, a lot of ground types just don't want to be taking sun boosted overheat. Something like an Excadrill or Iron Treads, they're just going to be dropping. Or even Great Tusk, they don't want to take those moves. Next up, Swift. Another move that has perfect accuracy. I will not be having to worry about accuracy whatsoever. Um, on this Pokemon just because of how many perfectly accurate moves it has. It's really helpful. Next up, Tail Whip. You might be looking at Tail Whip and thinking, why would I ever use Tail Whip over Screech? It just lowers the defense, but by less. But Tail Whip has 100% accuracy, which is really helpful with Screech. So, on the rare chance that I need both defense drops to be able to OHKO something, I'll bring Screech. But for the most part, Tail Whip will be enough to put them in range where my physical moves will be killing them, any opponent anyways. Next up is takedown. Um, Pretty strong. Uh, you might be thinking, well, why would I ever use takedown when we have double edge? The nice thing about takedown is that it does less damage, so it means I actually take less recoil. So on the odd chance that I want a move where I can click it and take only a little bit of recoil, takedown is there for me. Next up, Thrash. Really strong move. Nice that this guy has some normal coverage. It doesn't have a lot of normal moves, as you can see. So having Thrash so that I can click a move as strong as Double Edge, which is its only other normal move, but I don't have to worry about recoil is really helpful. Next up is Uproar. Um, it's a strong normal move. When I was talking about Terra Blast and saying, oh, well, nice to have that normal special coverage, Uproar is also there. And you might be thinking, well, why Uproar or why Terra Blast when Uproar is just stronger? The nice thing about Terra Blast, though, is that it can hit Pokemon with the ability Soundproof, whereas Uproar cannot. So Uproar is generally stronger, but there's certainly some matchups where I won't want to bring Uproar due to um, due to the Soundproof. Also, a nice little tech is that if I click Uproar, now I can't be put to sleep. So if there's something like an Amoonguss in front of me trying to click Spore, now it can't. And lastly is Wild Charge, just a strong stab electric move that doesn't miss like Supercell Slam. I don't have to worry about that. Just recoil, which is not a big deal due to how high my HP is. There's 75 HP. That's higher than 74 other numbers. So really high HP on Zebstrika here, which so I don't need to worry about the recoil much from Wild Charge. So that's a short, brief review of the moves on Zebstrika. I'm really excited to use this Pokemon. I think it has a lot of good options. I think it actually has as many good options as you can see here. There's not really a bad one. I think this will certainly be my kill leader. I imagine after 8 weeks, see there's 8 weeks and then 6 Pokemon each week. So probably gonna end with 48 kills on Zebstrika. I think that's reasonable. Probably plus or minus 2 or so. Probably plus though. I think I do hit the 50. Really excited to use Zebstrika. I think it's certainly the best Pokemon on my team. For some reason, this thing was only 5 points. I think that is an absolute steal. It was a big oversight of nobody else to draft this Pokemon. I'm I'm really excited to use this. I got it for 5 points. It probably should have been more like 15, I think, just due to that speed tier. 116 tying Iron Valiant, which is pretty much the fastest Pokemon you'll see yourself going up against. But with agility and Trailblaze and Flame Charge and Thunder Wave, there's so many ways just to speed down that Iron Valiant, and then you're faster than everything else. Huge attack stat, huge special attack stat, great bulk again, 75 HP. There's 74 HP numbers lower than that. That's a lot of HP numbers. Same thing with those defenses, and then I always have the light screen uh, to help out against that. This thing pretty much has everything you could ever ask for. It has breaking power, it has priority, it has bulk, it has recovery and rest talk. Um, I don't have any other move I could want on this Pokemon. It has pretty much everything it could ever need. As for the rest of my team, yeah, it's whatever. They're pretty much just there because I have to bring 6 Pokemon and I have to draft at least 10. So Zebstrika is pretty much the star of the show here. I know I am called the Dunbar Duats, but I should be called the Dunbar Zebstrikas this league because this guy is our team captain. Really excited for it. Um, yeah, the rest of my team's whatever. We're all here for Zebstrika. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.